Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lyds and we're back for some more Thronebreaker, and last time we had a surprise in which it turned out that, Xavier was apparently a Nilfgaardian spy all along and may or may not have tried to murder the queen. So, that was a little thing that happened. And, now it was actually Gascon and Reynard who saved our lives, so if there were any questions remaining as to whether we could trust them, I think we can put those to the side for now. I think we can rest easy when we have them helping to protect us. But now we are on our way for what may be our last stretch in Ongrin, and theoretically, at least according to this, we just need to find the barge and leave Ongrin, so there may not really be anything else left, because I don't know how you follow up the whole, oh, by the way, the queen just got, or at least Nilfgaard tried to assassinate the queen with someone who was in our team. We're on High Morale. We've done, everything that we can do at this point. I think it turns out there is one more shrine for good measure at the end, but that does quite literally nothing at this point, unless, I'm not really sure. Is this actually going to be an encounter of some significance? As that is usually the case. There's usually a pretty significant encounter at the very end. But at this point, it feels like we've done all the big stuff. And are we just going to waltz on out of here? Or is there some other components? Some other significant thing that we still have to do here before we actually get out of here? That I'm not sure of. Let's see what... that guy seems to be wearing... it's not Nilfgaardian colors. Looks like you're either Lyrian or Rivia colors, so I don't think he's about to fight us. Let's see. So, total... quest complete, puzzle completed... Center battles 1, gold chest found, 9 out of 9. That's the primary thing we see here. Okay, so I think we're done here by the looks of things then. And it appears as though there is not anything else remaining. We've done everything there is to do. So, let's continue. Maybe it is that simple.
Sandflies and mosquitoes blanketed Meve's face and neck.
Not entirely sure where we're going. Is it Temeria? I thought there was some other place people were mentioning.
No more would come in their place.
Your Majesty,
Reynard called from behind.
our scouts have returned. We've a large force of blackclads on our tail, infantry and horsemen. And
that was what I was wondering.
Blast.
Will the Nilfgaardians catch us before we leave?
Hair stuck to her brow.
What say you, Reynard?
That's the only thing I could think
Shall
of.
we give them a fight?
We're but a few miles from the river where a barge awaits. It makes no sense to battle now.
Okay.
Though near her strength's end,
Something tells me it's not going to be
stepped
that
up her
easy.
pace. She could not wait to stand upon a barge deck and leave Angren's infernal bogs behind. Alas, in place of the promised vessel, they found only severed moorings.
Oh no.
No, it can't be.
Suddenly, Meve drove her fist into the trunk of the nearest tree. Fortunately, a soft and rotted one.
This isn't so.
So our escape route has been spoiled. And that means the Nilfgaardians will be able to catch us because we are trapped here in what is probably not a very defensible position. That's not good.
Your Grace, have mercy. I stepped away but for a spell,
Croaked a scout, pale as a ghost.
and thieves jumped out the underbrush. Fell upon it. Whole band of them.
And
A white-haired
now
warrior.
we may all die because of
A
that.
minstrel. And a lass.
Wait
What
a
a ball.
second.
Well, is that all?
Interrupted
Wait
Gascon.
a second.
No vampire sat upon an ass with no saddle? You cocked up, man. Damn it. Meve, what now?
The queen turned back towards the swamp. Between the trees, she glimpsed a golden sun glimmering upon a banner.
We shall discuss
Yeah.
that later,
Said the queen, drawing her sword.
provided we survive.
Yes, the Nilfgaardians have caught us. Yes, we are going to, it seems, have that dramatic battle we were expecting before we will leave here. But don't let that distract you from the fact that there was a white-haired warrior, a minstrel, and a lass who had a bow. Okay, I'm not entirely sure who that's referred to, but these two, that's pretty unmistakable, right? I was wondering, there's a certain character who is on the main, I don't know, what do you, the front page? The title page of Thronebreaker, who we've not yet seen. I was wondering when that character who shall remain nameless for the time being was going to make his appearance, and I mean, it's waited long enough. Alright, but we have some Nilfgaardians to take care of here. Battle of the Yaruga. Okay, now this, I'm pretty sure, is one of the most famous missions in the entire game, for what it's worth. Just one battle, one round, a shortened battle. And so, rather than board the barge, Meve mounted her horse. Furious with her misfortune, she clenched her jaw and led a charge against the enemy. Should I ever come upon those thieves, she thought, I will have my vengeance. Okay, let's see. The Battle of the Yaruga. As I said, I'll be honest, I've heard of this mission. I've heard at least the name of this mission before. Possibly the only mission that I knew the name of, leading into Thronebreaker. I was under the impression that it was the final mission of the entire game. Or at least that was the assumption that I had. Given how it seemed like it had quite some hype around it. But apparently not, or at least I don't think we're about to finish the game. Pretty sure we still have some additional sections to go to. So what do we have here that we're dealing with? Alba, Cavalry, Veteran. Next time enemy uses an order, boosts up by 2, gain 2 armor if it's a unit, damage it by 3. Okay, yeah, we've seen a lot of these guys before. And there are multiple of them here. They're all on different numbers, which if we had that leader ability still that dealt damage to enemies that are on the same number, that would be annoying. That 1/5 power one, but okay. So, it's been a little while since we last fought some Nilfgaardians. Have we've done a little bit against them with the Skellige dudes, I suppose. Let's see, and it's new music as well. That's exciting. Okay, so Dogger, of course, humongous card. We'd love to see him. Patricide, we'd like to see probably more of the Skellige guys, if possible, here. That would be nice. We do have, as is often the case, that conflicting priority of get as many Skellige guys on the board as quickly as possible in round 1, so you get the carryover for round 2/3 when you play Dogger, versus the Alchemist, Strays Infiltrator, and Tainted Ale combo, which is tough. But I think, I mean, he's not a bad guy. Oh, remember, it's just one round. Oh. That kind of changes everything, and I wish I could get my redraw back. I kind of forgot about that. Okay, so that does significantly reduce the value of the Skellige guys, because that makes it much harder to get them in our graveyard in the first place, which means Dogger may not be very effective at all. So, I mean, am I about to mulligan him? I'd rather not. Maybe we just settle for this right here. I think we can do better than Bomber, though. Isbel, I assume they're going to have a reasonable amount of damage. Gabor is not bad, but I think we can do better there as well. So, in a multiple round match, I would love to see more Disgraced Warriors, but as I was just saying, I've recently come to the realization that perhaps we don't actually want this many Skellige guys after all. Granted, I don't know what I'm looking for in that case. Maybe we do really want more Infiltrator synergies. I guess we'll settle for this.
Rally to me! Drive them back!
Okay, so I will be honest, our deck nowadays, at least our strategy, has certainly been based almost entirely upon using the Skellige guys. So we're gonna have to shift things around quite a bit here. I think this order ability, given how these guys get powered up when we use order abilities, not a great move. So it doesn't necessarily, or at least even more so with the Disgraced Brawler, this is usually a negative play unless he actually gets destroyed. So we definitely don't want to do that. These guys, probably still not worth doing. Patricide, maybe if and only if they get more units on the board to make this order ability stronger, and ideally, if those units are not additional Alba Armored Cavalry. Yeah, I mean, are we about to go straight into those? I know, I guess we play Skellige guys as sacrificial lambs at the beginning here. And we actually do want them to kill them. The Nilfgaardians. Yeah, I mean, it looks, thus far at least, like a very standard Nilfgaardian deck here that our opponent is using. Every 2 cards played, draw. What? That's busted. Also, we can do this, although I think that also, our leader ability, I believe, still counts as triggering this. Should technically use it immediately, though. I forget what the cooldown is. Did we, by not playing it turn 1, effectively reduce the total number of times we can use it in this specific encounter? Probably. To be honest with you, yeah, probably. What do we want to use it on? Probably gonna end up being Gabor after all. So otherwise, yes, Alchemist and Infiltrator would be valuable, but we don't have the setup for them at the moment. We can't really go with multiple Infiltrators simultaneously. Not unless we at least stagger them by 1 turn. And they don't really have any great targets for us. Anyway, boost self by 2. I didn't remember if it was boost adjacent units. It's like these guys might get big enough to actually be the preferred targets. And we could also just Cadaverin and destroy those 3 immediately, which, to tell you the truth, is actually quite tempting. It's only if they're already damaged, but the 3 damage making them damaged does not count. That stinks. Okay. Alright then. Yeah, I feel like this is... It shouldn't be a difficult matchup, but I messed up in my setup here. And we may have even been justified in modifying our deck here proactively. I guess we didn't know in advance that we were going to face these types of guys, but Gabor destroying 2 of these guys feels like that's a pretty solid play. That feels like that's not bad. They will get boosted in us doing this. We can definitely still destroy 1. Can we still destroy 2? That I'm not sure of, now that I think of it. So what do we even want for... I mean, it's very early for a Barnabas, but... everything else feels kind of... meh. We could go Bomber. Bombers early are nice, but again, we have Infiltrators, which makes that a little restrictive. But I guess we can just commit going a certain way with it. Okay, so you... 15 damage. 6. It takes 6 to destroy you. It takes 8 to destroy you. So we should still be able to destroy both of you if we do that. Then... so what I mean is, basically, we could set this row on fire and just accept that whatever unit we're going to use to set up the Infiltrator, it's going to have to be in this row. But the fact that they don't have anything in this row right now is a little concerning.
Watch your heads!
So we kind of just need to hope that they cooperate, which may not happen. And again, I think we're going to have these guys out here. Not really sure we're going to use them at all. Okay, at least you're in the other row. You do have higher base power as well, which makes you a pretty decent target, I suppose, for Tainted Ale. And then maybe they get enough stuff over there, we might be able to pull off Cadaverin and actually get some removal from it. Otherwise, Alzur's Thunder might help us out there. So yeah, yeah. I'm just wondering, timing for Cadaverin. Do we try to wait enough so that we can get this Infiltrator and then, not on the same turn, but soon thereafter, we get another one out from our deck and get them both boosted up from this powerful Armored Cavalry? Could even deliberately boost it up, potentially, with all of our orders.
Come here!
If we can remove you and then... we don't want you to get bigger, but if we can have just one of these guys get bigger and have it be one that's going to get destroyed automatically from Tainted Ale anyway, then that's not bad. So I'm wondering if maybe Alzur's Thunder could finish you off in the near future.
Life is mine now.
Damage enemy by 2 whenever ally appears. Gain charge. Yeah. Okay. Should make Isabel a little bit stronger. I mean, their individual cards shouldn't be that strong. We've been facing these types of guys for a long time. Just the matchup doesn't work as well. Particularly in a one-round match. Dogger is just actually borderline useless. He's a 10-point body, but nothing else unless they actually destroy some of our stuff here. So, Alistair's Thunder is overkill at the moment, but if we can destroy you, then we can go crazy with all of our orders and deliberately boost you in anticipation of removing you with Cadaverin and using you to set up Strays Infiltrator as well, which is kind of tempting. I would call it a high-risk play. I would call it a high-risk play. I'm getting Patricide down there because he's our most consistent source of orders. Fire is close again. Ah, the job done there. Alistair's Thunder is 10. So now I'm wondering if we just try to take you out. That's not the easiest thing to do, even if we drop you down to just 2 power after a Thunder. Boost up by 2, gain 2 armor. I don't remember. We've absolutely asked ourselves this before, but what is the order of operations here? If we use an order ability, do we damage him and then he gets boosted and gains the armor? Or does he get boosted and gain the armor first? Because that will dictate whether things like... So that's functionally giving him 4 more damage mitigation between the boost and the armor. And this is only 3 damage, so this gets us farther away from destroying you. Unless this order of operations, this order happens first before you get boosted and gain the armor, in which case we just destroy you before you can even do that, so it doesn't matter. Warrior should actually have enough power to remove you either way. And Patricide with 5 units on the board. Oh, I suppose if we're going Patricide, at least we'd want to do that first, in which case, before Thunder, in which case, definitely would be gaining that. So, wait, you're at functionally 12 right now, deal 5. So that drops you down to a 7. My mental math, my brain stopped working for a second there, so my mental math might be wrong, but that should at least give us enough damage to have Thunder work. It is going to also hit you with the adjacent unit damage with Thunder, which is kind of unfortunate. Oh, we also don't deal with you in that case, unless we go Cadaverin here, which I guess we could do. Actually, that might get you into removal range more easily. So, I guess we'll Cadaverin to destroy, which is still not great value, but it's mostly just to get you into removal range. Technically, that actually would have been a better one to go after. No, not really. Okay, so now let's go Thunder to destroy. And now I'm deliberately going to go crazy with order abilities to boost you back up so that you can become an Infiltrator and Tainted Ale target. We're going to have to be quick about that because we're running out of time for it. So, and we can actually, that's, okay, there's one thing we can still do with these guys to set up Doggers. We can deliberately sacrifice you to get you destroyed and then just bring you back with Dogger. So that's not a terrible idea. But let's do, so do we want to get you boosted first for that reason? Perhaps we do. And then actually destroy the Disgraced Warrior and when we do that order. Let's do that. Let's do, technically we should do this. Let's do, although this is going to be slight overkill, so be it. So we're getting you boosted back up deliberately. Hopefully this will pay off. Then you're going to hit for 10. Which actually doesn't kill the Disgraced Warrior, at least not quite yet. Although if we do this, that boosts you up a little bit more. Don't really want to use this, so that makes me a bit nervous. Then do it for 12, which is just enough to destroy, so okay, we'll do it. Boost up our other Skellige dudes, we can bring you back with Dogger, so it actually gives us some value from Dogger. The next turn I think must be Tainted Ale, Otherwise, we're not going to have time to actually take you out, and this whole plan backfires on us. So let's do that. And let's do this. Now, they still have a bazillion cards in hand, which I think is actually the thing that makes them strong. I hate that they played another one of these guys. However, we did get a bunch of order abilities off before you played this, specifically so that if you did something like that, we could still get good value setting you up. So let's do here. Let's see. Boost self-powered unit to the right. So play you here.
Can't get our asses moving.
And we technically need to wait for our next turn to do this. Are we going to have time for the Infiltrator to come back out? Yes, because they're going to keep on taking turns, so we should have plenty of time for that. But it does need to be Isabel on this turn. Is Isabel going to destroy you? Isabel might have to destroy you. It's kind of unfortunate. So yeah, going to delay this. Don't really want to use this anymore. With 5 units, I guess technically speaking, this is still slight positive value. Yeah, but now it definitely isn't anymore. I would kind of like if they destroyed you. Okay, so now, yes. We will use leader ability. Are you gonna get destroyed before our other Infiltrator comes back? Honestly, that probably is gonna happen. The timing got really annoying. Really tricky here. So as I was saying, we didn't really have initial plans to do this. In fact, you could actually make a very strong case for that reason for not going with an Infiltrator here and instead going for... I mean, Barnabas is probably going to be one of the options either way. We don't really want to damage all of our opponent's units, though, because we run the risk of destroying our Infiltrator. Again, the Infiltrator is making itself very difficult to work. We don't really want anything with an order ability either, though. Alchemist, it's too early for that. I mean, it might just be you for the base power. Is ultimately what this is going to have to come down to. Unfortunate as that sounds.
As today the day?
Sorry, turnips back for an encore.
Oh. Okay. So I'm tempted to double down on this armored cavalry, in which case that makes the Infiltrator even stronger when it comes back to our side. On the other hand, this is going to die very soon. So it's a matter of, do we prioritize boosting our unit by more or removing one of their units? I think it is actually more valuable to boost our unit by more, assuming they don't have a way to automatically remove it, because it's a matter of removing a 12 power unit that is going to get up to probably, or 14 power unit that's probably going to get up to 16 when we use Isbel. Or like 16 points of removal versus an additional, how much is it? Oh no, it's only 10 additional points. Okay. That is more valuable to destroy something else then. Been a while since we've considered using decoy. Is there any case to be made there? Gabor? Eh, not really. And this is probably the best Barnabas we've ever had, just in terms of the quality of options. The variety of options that are all very good. Usually, most, if not all, of the options are kind of bricks. Occasionally, there's one half-decent choice. We do need to use you.
So much anger and suffering.
Not going to
For
do this,
what?
because they have enough cavalry that it cancels out the damage. So you come back. You're going to get destroyed.
Hail, Kerzer!
What's your deal? Every turn start, the highest allied power is odd. Boost self by 5. That is not the case. Thankfully for us. Okay, now we can use Isbel without having to destroy our own units. That's nice. Unfortunately, we are wasting a lot of Isbel's power on this unit that was going to get destroyed anyway. In fact, it was counterproductive with Tainted Ale, not only because we're going to destroy this anyway, but because we made this 10 more points, and therefore more likely that Isbel wastes some of her value on that. But technically, I guess technically we can ignore the value that they're going to get from this order ability, or rather from this card when we use order abilities, because it's going to get destroyed. So really, You're the only one that we care about getting boosted from us using orders. So if we get more than 2 points of value from an order, we should use it. And you, I believe, will give us more than that. Doesn't boost ones in our graveyard, does it? On the battlefield? Yeah, not graveyard. Okay, it is still worth it, but... Okay, so we do this. We're obviously about to get you back when we play Dogger. It does actually make Isabel a little bit stronger as well. Almost enough to completely destroy everything. Oh, but bear in mind, it's not just the point value here. They have a fair bit of armor on most of their units, so... Okay. Alright. Certainly far from perfect.
Waiting for a personal invitation.
But here comes Isabel. And that's what I mean. You're gonna be dead anyway, but you're annoying. And so are you. Unfortunately, the highest unit is now on an odd number, so you are actually gonna get boosted. Unless... it's gonna be a few turns before you get destroyed. So we have a huge lead here, don't get me wrong. The problem is they have many cards left to play, so I have no idea if this is gonna be sustainable or not. And I don't think any of our cards are going to get stronger over time. The only value we will get in the future is the Tainted Ale actually removing you. So, this is not worth doing at this... Well... Actually, it is. Again, they're only getting 2 points of value from this. From you, because you're going to get destroyed anyway. So this is worth doing. If we had 1 more point of damage, we could actually destroy it. Technically, we should have done that first, I suppose. But then we wouldn't know how that Isabel damage would get split again. It's a really awkward one. Haven't really seen things happen like that before. Where we've been that pressed for time, playing a bunch of stuff in the same round, at the same time in the round. When usually we'd be able to spread those things out. This is what I mean. It looked like it was a decent-sized lead, but I think that was misleading. I think they're going to win. To be honest, I think they're going to win. They are definitely going to win. They have won. Unless the fire totally bails us out, but it doesn't. And, I mean, unless this is... Yeah, no, it's a one-round match. Okay, so many things, timing-wise, went absolutely horribly wrong there. So there's that aspect. There's also the aspect of, you know, we may just want to restructure our deck for this specific event, this specific encounter. It shouldn't be as... Well, the individual cards they're playing are not strong. However, they play like 5, if not more, additional cards than we do. So that's a pretty huge deal. So we could reload the last checkpoint. Oh, we did also... We picked up a new... Either a new card or we upgraded a card. Maybe it's worth taking a quick check there. But technically it does mean we're going to have to go through the conversation here once again. But I forgot to double check. Is it Reynard who got upgraded or Gascon who got upgraded? Reynard got upgraded. Give 1 charge to units with depleted order abilities. Loyal. Repeat deploy ability. There was a time where that was not very useful because we didn't really have anything that had orders. That is no... Now we do have Skellige guys, though, who do have orders, so that actually does suddenly become a Skellige synergy, oddly enough, for Reynard. Also, after losing Xavier, we actually technically had an illegal deck there, where we didn't have enough cards in it. And this actually is kind of similar to what Xavier did, oddly enough. So I suppose it's kind of fitting, the timing there. And we did not upgrade Gascon. I thought for some reason we had Gascon Plus at this point as well. So it's kind of strange how Reynard got upgraded there, but Gascon did not. But okay, I think we can throw Reynard in there, and then possibly... Didn't we have... Yeah, 1 more Disgrace Warrior as well. So I know I was just saying the Disgrace Warriors, or Skellige units in general, not great in this specific encounter because it's just 1 round. It definitely makes it much harder to use them. The Disgraced Warriors, though, with Dogger, can still work if we sacrifice them as we did. Whereas the Brawlers, I think, are much more questionable in this specific encounter. So maybe we add you. Let's maybe dump the Bomber. There was a time where this gave us a lot of long-term value, and it was one of our better cards, but I think nowadays there are just so many ways in which this conflicts with other synergies primarily the Infiltrator, which we did also get early as well, but the Tainted Ale synergy with the Infiltrators has made them a much more important card for us as of late, and that's just too many things that are hard to play together, as we saw in that previous match just then. Cadaverin, we saw they have a bunch of boosts, so it is probably going to be tough to make that work, so maybe we can do something a little bit better than that for this specific encounter. Ideally, I mean, these aren't going to have orders. I mean, that is one thing we could try to do, is avoid orders. Boost unit by 10, create a bronze card. Heal ally, strengthen it by 10. That is interesting for the Skellige guys in particular, I'm thinking of. So they can get a lot of base power, and actually can bring them back out, in which case they will maintain that strengthened component. That's tempting. That's not a trinket, so we can't throw that in our free spot. Damage all enemies by 3. They have a lot of armor here, though, in this encounter. Wait, every turn end boost a random ally on each row by 2? I did not remember that being so good. I mean, that adds up a lot over time. Granted, the longer the match is, the more valuable it becomes. And that's what we're saying. This is on the shorter side. However, this does not require any orders, which is useful. Suppose our existing Valmir's Horn does not either, although this is 1 base power, 1 armor per card. You can think of that as, in most cases, per turn. Whereas this is 4 points per turn. Because it's both rows. Yeah. So that, from a pure direct pointage standpoint, is technically better. I mean, this has more synergy with replaying Skellige guys, but as we were saying, that's most relevant in a multi-round match. Yes, I know I was just saying how there are some ways you can still make it work, but we're trying to make the best of a less than ideal situation, is basically what I'm saying with the Skellige guys here, and we can find a way to make it work, but it's still far from perfect. I do not remember that. That's kind of interesting. If they play some of those guys who get boosted whenever we use order abilities next to each other, which they did in the previous match, I don't know how consistently they're going to do that, but that could be worth a lot of points there. What exactly is Jade Figurine? So, I mean, it at least gets rid of one of their units. Is Jade Figurine like a terrible card in our hand? I mean, it's better than nothing, and it is also removal, so it's still pretty solid. In fact, you can make a case that it's better than Alzur's Thunder for that reason. If you're looking at Alzur's Thunder as mostly a way to remove one card, although obviously it has the damage to adjacent units as well. Wait, what? It's an artifact, but it is not taking the place of Valmir's Horn? Huh? Wait a second. Can we put multiple of these guys out simultaneously? No, because they have a different symbol in the bottom right corner, right? We can replace you two, but it's not as if we can dump Alzur's Thunder and have you take that spot, can we? No. Okay. Didn't think so. Just thought for a second there I might have come to a realization that we were restricting ourselves in a way that we did not previously need, or that we had not needed to restrict ourselves at all. So glad to see we did not mess up to that extent. But would that be worth doing? Maybe? So basically you play this first in just about any situation. Okay, let's try this. We are certainly getting more experimental now. And it's weird, because on the surface, I mean, you would think this would be a really difficult encounter. Oh, can we move? Yes, we can move. Because it's the last one in this area. The specific units that we're going up against are not that strong. So in that sense, it doesn't look that hard. But because our opponent can take at least 5 turns without us being able to answer anything that they do, we basically need to have a humongous lead. I mean, we had around a 100-point lead, and then they were still able to catch us because we can't do anything to stop them. So, oh, actually, that would make the card that we just added, the Mahaka Mail, incredibly effective, because that is one thing that does continue to get value even after we pass. Okay. I did not think of that at the time, but that is definitely a reason to stick with that. Alright, so we will need to go through this again, but I'll just skip through it because we know what the deal is. No decisions or anything. But let's see now with a little more planning and maybe a little more intentional mulligans here. Better understanding of what we do and do not want. Like, probably not you. It's in large part why I removed the other one, so we would find ourselves in this situation less often. Lots of skeleton guys, but no dogger. And these ones, as I was saying before, I think are probably going to be worse than the brawler is. Gabor is probably worth keeping. Barnabas is not bad either. We have to wait a little bit before we can make these things work. So this is probably turn 1. Maybe you early if... Oh, well, they do have... Yeah, they do have these guys out immediately. So yeah, actually, Gabor in hand is great. So we don't need to use any orders. We could go straight into destroying some of those guys. Okay. We're very quickly going to doing that. Barnabas, although I like him, and I guess we can go leader ability for Patricide. Reynard should be a late target. Yeah. And we have made our deck more suitable for the Skellige guys. So I am wondering if we should try to get even more. There's Patricide. Okay. I mean, he does get powered up when some of them get destroyed, but as we saw, using that order ability is dangerous. Or at least can be. Alright, we're gonna try this. We're gonna try this.
Mine now.
But let's go.
Rally to me. Drive them back.
First. Technically, if this is turn 1, we get 4 more points total. However, if we want to use leader ability turn 1, then that means Gabor is now a little less effective at removing these guys. We were still able to remove 2 of them last time, right? Even when we used an order ability before playing Gabor, in order to play Gabor. Right? Because you'll be... Functionally, you guys will be... You'll both be 8s, won't you? Oh, we'll get damage from the Arbalest, though. That's why you'll be likely in removal range unless you happen to exclusively hit this Arbalest here. Okay, so I think we can still do this. Hopefully. And then leader ability, I think it's just to get Skellige guys out here because we want a bunch on the board for when we eventually get Dogger and Reynard out. Will be probably our next instance of leader ability toward the end of the match. Okay, so then let's go for the warriors, I think. Don't have Isbel. Yikes. She was pretty huge for us last time. Just about the... Oh, and that actually destroyed one of them. Well, it was one of the weaker ones.
Personal invitation.
It's 9 to destroy you. That's 8 to destroy you. That means we do not have enough damage on you, which is very unfortunate. But we do also have the potential for artifact compression to remove one of them. Yeah. This encounter, I think, is actually extremely difficult. As I was starting to say that before, but think that is worth noting. Okay. Gabor.
done in a jiffy.
Damage. 15. Which... That's 9. That's 8 to remove. So it's not enough to completely remove both of them. But it is enough to significantly weaken to the point where we could probably destroy you with a Disgrace Warrior if we really needed to. And we kind of want to use these as sacrificial lambs. So in some ways we actually prefer for this to be a brawler to take you out, although I'm still not sure if we confirmed one way or the other as to how exactly that works, order of operations wise. So we might just have to settle for this. It does not seem as though they get boosted beforehand. It seems like we get to hit first. There's this guy, giving us more boosts. Okay. So... let's... Again, I don't really know how that works. Taking a bit of a chance on that. Let's get the Skellige guys out. And I guess technically, if we're assuming that you're going to end up being the Tainted Ale target, then that means we could start using order abilities aggressively to power you up, and then Tainted Ale and Infiltrator. Which we should do now, in anticipation of future cavalry. Yeah, that is technically the right play. Alright, you need to turn anyway. Although actually, if these guys become the recipients of the Mahakam Ale, and that's not great. I mean, if you want to destroy this, you are doing us a huge favor. So I will take that. If you would like to do us that honor.
May disgrace ends here. Time I wiped it away.
Okay, oh, now at this point though, that's what I was getting at. Once they start playing more of these, and we don't have enough removal to get rid of all of them, that's where perhaps it's, well, if we can Tainted Ale remove one of them. We destroyed one of the Skellige guys for us, thank you. Now we have 3 warriors in our graveyard, which is great, assuming that we're going to play Dogger, which, to be fair, we did not have very many cards other than the Skellige guys in our hand, and although we're usually saying we want a whole bunch of them, perhaps there is a limit, because, well, at least for the basic Skellige guys, because we're going to have to tutor out Dogger and Reynard and Isbel, which I don't think we're going to be able to do all of that. So that's kind of scary. Oh, also, this is exactly the situation that I brought this fake Florin for. So that is actually very intriguing. Now that I think of it. Okay. Patricide. Perhaps now let's get you out.
Think I'm a beer.
Okay, but we should make sure we give ourselves enough time for Tainted Ale and Infiltrator. I mean, technically they're going to take way more turns than we are. So, should still have time to activate. Ooh, I kind of hate it that they put the smaller one in the middle, because now that limits the value of fake Florin significantly. So let's, hold on. We're gonna, you're the biggest, so you're gonna be a Tainted Ale target. We're gonna put the Infiltrator next to you. For you two, we can fake Florin, should remove one, and then we Artifact Compression to remove the other. I think is, so technically we can still deal with all 3 of them, but any more than that, and we start to get in trouble. Which actually does mean that we can still use order abilities now. Theoretically. Okay. Let's do this now. And we will do this. And I'm going to hit these guys under the assumption that we will be able to remove all these guys, which I'm not 100% confident in. But we're going to see. I hope I'm right. Because if not, we are in some pretty serious trouble. Right now, they're just deliberately making us think about what we've done.
Now.
Destroy these guys. That's totally fine. That is encouraged, in fact. Technically, we'd like to get the other guys out from our graveyard first, though, because they aren't going to get boosted. They aren't going to get powered up if you remove these guys right now, but... Okay, so now let's get Infiltrator out here.
Shh. Go, kid.
And... So this is the last time we're getting leader ability, isn't it? Yeah. So this is where we need to choose. I'm not sure we use Rainer. I don't think we do. Because at this point, he's giving charges to basically just you two. Which is not very valuable. If we still had Disgraced Warriors on the board with used order abilities, yes. That is not the case. So I think that makes our decision much easier. It's going to be Dogger, and it's going to be Isbel. It's going to have to be a earlier Isbel than I would like to play. She's going to be kind of vulnerable here. What number is Isbel on to? That better not be the correct number. That better be a bug. Otherwise, that's not good news for us. Technically, I guess we don't need to do it on this turn. Our leader ability, assuming that we will only be able to use the leader ability one more time. It's not as if the cooldown is going to make any difference here at this point. We need to make sure that we have enough time to use her order, so we would still need to do it on our next turn. But that potentially gives us gives us more time to power up Isbel's ability before we use her. To make that a little bit stronger and less time for her on the, or, you know, if we do play her now but wait to use her order ability one turn, then there's less time for them to target her. So, also, maybe a bit risky. Biggest risk would be they play another cavalry, which means it's going to get boosted when we use our order ability, which I probably now jinxed, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge deal, I suppose. Also, if we get one of these guys back into our hand when we turn into a Jade figurine, then I guess... Okay, well, that's exactly what I said. I want you to keep on attacking these guys, rather than Isbel, but once we play Isbel, I'm not sure that's going to happen. So... Okay, yeah, but once we get one of these in our hand, that theoretically means we'll have one more turn that we can take. Not 100% sure about that, but that theoretically would seem to check out. Oh, and also we don't have to do leader ability on this turn. We can do it on our next turn. Then it absolutely must happen. So we do this on you. How does this work? This unit takes damage to destroy it. Okay, I mean, it's mostly just a form of removal, but I think we'll take it. You come back. It's a pretty big deal. This will activate very soon. That should be a pretty big deal. Oh, we're going to need to use Fake Florin. In fact, we're not going to have time to use Fake Florin. That needed to happen earlier. Ooh. Okay, now it's going to be a way to remove you. I mean, technically, we can still do that. Would have liked to have gotten the guys out from our graveyard, so they would have benefited from all... Do they still benefit in our graveyard? Those definitely look bigger. No, it's just these guys who have received all those boosts. But yeah, okay. So again, the timing's still very awkward, but I'm hoping that we can still make this work. So now, this has bought us one more turn to once again delay. So, we did get rid of the big cavalry, which was going to be the way that we, or one of those guys was going to be the way that we make Fake Florin work, so we actually should have done that first before we did Jade Figurine, but I wanted to confirm how this worked. So we could still do this. Your armor is going to make this... Your significantly greater armor than this guy is going to make it much less efficient. Discard all copy... Ooh, however, you are a great target to destroy. So I think we might do that. I think we might do that here and now. How many do they have in hand? Oh! Oh! Okay. A lot, as it turns out. A whole lot. Okay, so next turn we must use leader ability. In fact, with the whole Jade figurine adding a card to our hand, we might have actually been able to get one more leader ability in. So this is their last turn, I'm now realizing, which is pretty interesting. That did get them to draw a card, though. Or it was their leader ability that threw them a card? Okay, so they do have one more turn. So now it has to be leader ability. We should probably get Patricide out. Does this... Yeah, we can just play this last turn. In fact, we have last save, so we absolutely should play this last turn. And then it's going to survive. So we do this.
Wanna know why I'm got
It's looking much better now, I think. But we got very experimental. And you've received a ton of boosts. Okay. I mean, we are still probably going to end up putting you back. We could put you back to the deck. I suppose is actually slightly better. Or you even. But you're going to get a little bit of damage when we do this. So it's going to be Dogger, and it's going to be Isbel, who I'm assuming has a non-zero damage order ability, but perhaps we're going to find out for certain now.
Make love, not war.
Yeah, no, it's 88. That's a big difference.
Give me some of that.
And these guys all come back.
Is today the day?
Should be much better.
Come here, let's dance.
Okay, this, unless it's going to give them more card draw, should be their last play. So by destroying that guy who banished all the copies of it in their hand and their deck, we took away their greatest strength, which was their humongous card advantage. I paid that card 0 attention the first time that they used it. Okay, and that's why I was saying we tried to delay Isbel as much as possible, but they had enough damage here that they were going to destroy her anyway. Not that it matters, because the Skellige guys gave us a big enough lead here that we don't even need to take our last tournament. Sure, we will. But there's our Jade figurine. Give it a little bit of armor, which makes it a little more resilient. But, alright, no Isbel, doesn't matter. Second time around,
Your Grace,
we'll beat those
that was
Nilfgaardians.
but their vanguard.
Okay, that does worry me a bit. Does that mean we're about to fight more of them?
Near the battle's end, Meve faced a black-clad officer. Nimbly dodging his strike, she countered. The Queen's sword sank deep, the hilt rattling his breastplate. A rush of hot blood covered Meve's hands. The winged helmet toppled from the officer's
We're gonna
head,
recognize this person, aren't we?
exposing a sweaty face, gasping for breath.
Nin. When?
Before the Queen stood a ruddy-haired boy with long eyelashes.
Oh, no.
He was Willem's
It's a
age,
boy?
perhaps a bit older. His body slumped, then disappeared beneath the malodorous foam atop the murky waters.
How old is Willem? Like, young teens? Like
Cast
12 or
away her
13?
sword as if it had burned her hand.
Yeah, so the Nilfgaardians are... I mean, I think this is kind of over-exaggerating a little bit, but this guy's a young teenager, I think, which is... Yeah, certainly probably younger than you would like to have your soldiers be, but then again, can't exactly say I'm surprised with the way that Nilfgaard tends to run things.
Majesty, what is it? Are you hurt?
Reynard said, rushing to her side.
No, I'm not. It's fine. Give the order to march. With no barge, we must walk to Red Lobington along the riverbank.
Kind of an
Your Majesty,
alarming
we must
song
tend to the
transition.
wounded. Use the rest of the day, I wager.
Preferably not here in Ongren, though, especially not when, theoretically, as you were just saying, that was only the first of the beginning of a much larger group of Nilfgaardian soldiers. Also, this looks very much like Gauntro Dim. Am I crazy for thinking that? This person's face up here in the top left corner?
We ain't time enough for that.
Interjected Gascon.
That was but the vanguard sent in pursuit to slow us down.
Exactly.
And even so, they outnumbered us 2 to 1. What happens when the main force arrives? We must flee. Now.
And abandon the injured, to bleed to death in the mud.
Alas, Reynard, yes. Unless you'd rather we stayed and died with them.
I mean, Gascon is telling the hard truth, but I think it is the truth. Also, that is interesting how they say they outnumbered us 2 to 1, and if you think about the extra card advantage that our opponent had, functionally, that is the closest thing you can do to recreating that in-game, so that is cool. And what was the other thing that caught my attention there? Oh, the whole aspect of, like I was saying before, the battle of the Yaruga, or on the Yaruga, of the Yaruga, the bridge. How I remembered that, or had heard of that being one of the most significant battles in the entire game, and how this seemed a little bit earlier and perhaps a little less significant than I would have expected that to be, but perhaps that is because this was just the Vanguard, and we will have a more full-fledged version of it later on. That may be the case. Okay, so abandon the injured and march immediately, or give medics time to dress the soldiers' wounds. So, personally, I do agree with Gascon here. I think he's in the right... It's very unfortunate, and I'm sure our soldiers are going to absolutely despise us for doing it, but I think we're all dead if we don't do it. Like, I don't know what the game will do to punish us for doing this, but if I'm being a realist, this feels like certain death, whereas this feels like, I mean, it's probably going to cut our recruits in half and put us on low morale, but I think, realistically, this should just be game over. So I think you just have to take the hit and move on.
Reynard, to lead with honor, not cold self-concern. This I would always choose if I could.
Your Majesty, I beg you.
But Gascon reasons soundly. We leave immediately or we risk death for all. And all we've done up to this point, the battles we've waged, the blood we've spilt, would be for nothing. This I can't allow.
I mean, unless there's some magical way that we avoid having everyone die if we were to take.
What you do now, you do in your own name.
Yes, of course. But understand, it's not a decision I make easily.
Right. Unless there was some magical solution that was not immediately apparent or obvious. If we were to have gone with Reynard's direction, then I don't know how you... Like, we've gotten numerous warnings that the rest of the Nilfgaardians are coming, and there's more of them. And they practically wiped us out with just their vanguard, so if we stick around here to tend to our wounded, then everyone's dead. Like, that seems pretty clear.
The soldiers accepted Meve's choice in silence.
Sorry, Raynor.
And for the first time,
in an ideal world,
in their eyes.
It would be nice.
Yet she did not waver. The wounded would be left behind. All hoped the Nilfgaardians would treat the injured with honor as prisoners of war.
Oh.
Not
True.
drown them like runty animals. The force marched off.
I mean, or they're gonna
later.
Have them fight against us
Unburdened
somehow.
by injury, their pace was swift. The distance to the pursuing foe grew. The Queen rode at the column's fore, her shoulders hunched, her eyes downcast.
Okay, that framing of that last paragraph perhaps gives us some insight as to what might have happened if we had not gone with this choice. Maybe we would have still escaped, but they would have been right on our tail, so we would have been going more slowly with the wounded. But, I mean, that doesn't factor in the... It's not just that we're walking more slowly, it's that we have to stop to tend to the wounded, during which time we are not moving at all, so the Nilfgaardians absolutely catch us and we die. Is at least the logical conclusion to come to from that. Again, maybe the game is a little more forgiving of making that decision and gives you a more generous outcome where at least you just barely manage to escape while still tending to the wounded, but I don't know. It's really a lose-lose situation, of course, but I think one loss, as I said, realistically wipes out the entire group, and the other loss is cruel, of course, losing perhaps they said roughly half of our troop. our regiment, but what else can you do? Get a bunch of resources. No hit to our recruits, which surprises me quite a bit. And where are we? We actually can still go. What? We can go further? There is additional space here to be traversed. I'm very surprised by this. It feels like Ongren is never ending at this point. Every time that I think we're gonna be done, there's more to it. Maybe the actual battle in the Yaruga will also happen, just a little ways down the road here. But it felt initially, I thought that Gurna Korra was going to be the final encounter. Then obviously we encountered her earlier than I expected. Then we wondered, are the Nilfgaardians going to hit us on our way out? And they did. However, turns out that was not the actual final encounter, but just a prelude to perhaps a bigger final encounter over here, in which case, I don't know what to make of any of this at this point. But with that being said, I think this is a good place for us to wrap up here. So thank you all for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.